I'm going to start with just going through as I described the stages. So we kind of look at things in six different stages of growth, and this isn't meant to describe the whole of the market, but we'll get into that. And stage one is starting up. Stage two is the basic foundation. Three is refinement. Four starts to create the scalable foundation for a contractor to grow. At five, you're really ready to scale. And at six, it's about being sustainable at five and really replicating that almost different business units. And each stage represents about a tripling of headcount, and we'll get into that in more details, from 5 to 15 people to 50, 150, 500, and then 15 plus. So, and each one of those starts to require very, obviously additional people, different skills, different systems, different tools for growth. Any comments on that? I mean, as you've seen now, lots of contractors of lots of different sizes throughout your career.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, right? Because when you work with the startups, right, everything's kind of back of the tailgate. You can do it all yourself. You can basically stand there and look at it all. And it's hard when you go even from the startup to the basic foundation, because suddenly you've got, that 15 people or the tripling of size where you don't have everybody on the same job site. You've got multiple job sites. You now have to figure out how to utilize, your people. And that's really the the first pinch point, is when you get there. And it just gets bigger and bigger from there. And I think if people can visualize going from the 5 to the 15, and I look at it as kind of in an org structure kind of look. If they looked at it that way, you would see the growth from 5 to 15, 15 to 50, 50 to 150. Most people just don't look at it that way, right? So, yeah, just figuring out what that growth looks like is tough.
It was interesting yesterday. We saw we had a leadership team of a contractor assembled, and they were in that 500. They were kind of in between 5 and 6, and it was so funny because I'm looking around the room and there was 22 people in the room just at the leadership team. It was a tier down from the executive team, and that was more people than they had in the entire overhead, back 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you're in the field, you don't really notice that. You look up and you're like, what are all those people in the office? What are they doing?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's funny because if you start in a startup company or a basic foundation company, or even in the refinement side of a company, it is entirely different to grow it from, the stages here, the 2 to 3 to a 4, than it is to come in, be hired into, a 5 or a 6, because
Yeah.
they're just different animals when you walk into one, as opposed to having to stretch one from one to the next.